I hope you're good. I hope you're great. I hope you're having a lovely day. Woo, it's been a long week for your boy, but we are here nonetheless, regardless of whatever may happen, because why not? Found some motivation to keep me going, guys. It's the only thing that's keeping me up right now. Just the straight up motivation, but let's keep it going. So some of you may have heard that there was a fire in a Johannesburg building, and many people lost their lives. 74 people, and that includes 12 kids. It was really sad to hear about all of this. It's actually very strange to hear about this because how would this fire start? Why? How couldn't they get out? It's a mess, and they're still doing their investigations. And hopefully they come up with a reason with what happened, and they can deduce what happened from the whole situation. Essentially, after this incident, many news outlets came out saying that this was actually an illegal building or illegally hijacked building, or a hijacked building, because all hijacked buildings are essentially illegally hijacked. Anyways, this was a hijacked building, and many of these people were not fortunate enough to have their own house to stay in or their own apartment to stay in, and this has sparked up lots of debate on the housing crisis in South Africa right now, especially within Johannesburg, specifically the CBD. And if you live in Gauteng, you've heard of these hijacked buildings and how they're just hubs of illegal activity. They're dangerous places to live in, but at the same time, you can't tell people to not live in these places because where are they supposed to go? RDP housing isn't an option because some people may not qualify, or they may not be enough space for an RDP house, and it is just very sad. And obviously these buildings are not being maintained, because why would the government maintain a hijacked building? But the very funny, or not funny, but strange part about all of this is the specific building that burned down is actually government owned. It's also a hijacked building at the same time. I don't understand how you hijack a building that is government owned. I thought these hijacked buildings were privately owned, but apparently not. This burning building is not even the climax of what could potentially happen. These buildings could collapse, they could fall onto people, fall onto streets. It's just because of the fact that they're not well maintained or maintained at all. I'm hoping that this wakes up the government and they deal with this crisis, because there's no point in having empty buildings where we have so many homeless people, so many people that have nowhere to go. We could put businesses in there, try to make some money off of the buildings so that we could be able to create some finances for RDPs. Like, a plan could be made, but we can't continue having hijacked buildings just be hubs of crime and drugs and illegal trafficking. It's just not on. It doesn't make sense to do this. And it's not like, I'm not gonna say that these buildings haven't been raided or anything. They have, but there's no point in raiding the place and then doing nothing about it after, because people are the criminals and everyone who was living in there are just gonna come back. So something needs to be done about it, and I hope that this wakes the government up and they can do something about this. I'd like to move on to some brighter news, or some feel good news. I don't want to be talking about death. I don't like death. I'm not a fan of death. I just can't handle it. So ABSA has signed off on an empowerment deal. Basically, what an empowerment deal is, a way a company empowers its employees. So maybe if you've been working at a company for 10 years, they tell you here's some stocks, which is what happened in the case of ABSA. So ABSA has given away 7% of their stock to their employees. So maybe let's say you get, just to make an example, 0.1% as an individual. Most likely different individuals get different amounts of stock in different positions. Branch managers I know have gotten some stock and so forth, all adding up to that 7%. Not only do employees get some of that 7%, it's also corporate social investment, CSI. So essentially, lack of a better term, maybe like NGOs and trusts and such, they get some of that as well. And this is a good thing because you get employees that are happier, the productivity increases, general mood. You might even find that some of your ABSA bankers are happier than usual, services are much better, staff is much friendlier. It's just a good thing overall. But there is a but. This doesn't just come out of the goodness of their heart. And I say this because not so long ago, maybe around May, the Department of Employment and Labor found out that not just ABSA, but ABSA, FNB, Standard Bank, the major banks, were taken to court for non-compliance with employment equity laws. So essentially, the employees of all these banks were not being fairly treated. And the department said no. If this is not fixed, if this is not dealt with, we're going to be taking you guys to law and you're going to be paying fines of up to 1.5 million rand or 2% of each and every one of your guys' turnover, which is way more. So, what laws did these banks break, or what employment laws did they break? Essentially, it's because they don't have enough black people working for them in prominent positions, not enough women working in those positions, not enough disabled people working in those positions. It's as if they're discriminating, and it's as simple as that. So they were going to go to court for discrimination, essentially. So what does ABSA do? A couple months later, we're now in September, 3rd of September today, and they come out with this news where they'll be giving away $10 billion rand worth of their stock to those black and disabled and those women employees. So as much as they've done right by correcting this mistake, it's still telling, and it still shows that yes, these companies, they can do good, but they have to be pushed into that direction or motivated into that direction. So I hope that this is a lesson that every company can take on and say, you know what, we do need to employ more people. We do need to employ not just more people, but more people from disadvantaged backgrounds. Because at the end of the day, we all need to be fairly treated or treated fairly, and that's that. Anyways, guys, this is it from me. Please continue to vote. I'm in the top 10 for Mr. South Africa. You guys' votes have meant so much to me, and I love you guys so much for all of your support. Please make sure you follow my Instagram. Please make sure you follow my Twitter. My Twitter and Instagram are linked in the description. If you have any news that you'd like for me to speak about, please let me know on my Twitter. And if you guys just want to follow the Mr. South Africa journey with me, follow my Instagram. I'll see you guys next week. Much love from me. This has been Lefataleni signing out.